Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board, wasn't just a master of music and film, he was also a high-stakes gambler who thrived on the adrenaline of risk. Sinatra's love for gambling was legendary, and his presence in Las Vegas casinos during the mid-20th century was as iconic as his performances on stage. He wasn't just a casual player. Sinatra was known to bet tens of thousands of dollars in a single night, often at blackjack or craps tables. His charm and larger-than-life persona made him a favorite among casino owners, who would extend him unlimited credit and lavish perks to keep him playing. What many don't realize is that Sinatra's gambling wasn't just about the thrill, it was deeply tied to his relationships and influence. He was known to gamble alongside some of the most powerful figures of the time, including mobsters who controlled much of the Las Vegas casino scene. Sinatra's connections to organized crime have long been whispered about, and his gambling habits only deepened the intrigue. In one infamous incident, Sinatra reportedly lost so much money at a casino that he had to perform a series of shows to pay off his debt, a rare moment where his fame became a bargaining chip. Despite the risks, Sinatra's love for gambling never wavered. He saw it as a reflection of life itself, unpredictable, thrilling, and always on the edge. For Sinatra, the casino floor wasn't just a place to play. It was a stage where he could command attention, take risks, and live out the high-stakes drama that defined his life. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, the swashbuckling star of The Adventures of Robin Hood, lived a life as daring and reckless as the characters he portrayed. Gambling was one of his many vices, and Flynn approached it with the same devil-may-care attitude that defined his career. He was a regular at high-stakes poker games where his charm and wit often masked the fact that he was betting far more than he could afford. Flynn's gambling wasn't just about the money. It was about the thrill of the game and the chance to outwit his opponents. One of the most shocking aspects of Flynn's gambling was his willingness to bet on anything, no matter how absurd. He was known to wager on everything from horse races to impromptu dares, turning even the most mundane moments into high-stakes drama. In one infamous story, Flynn reportedly bet a small fortune on a single hand of poker, only to lose and laugh it off as if it were nothing. His gambling habits were as unpredictable as his personal life, a reflection of a man who lived entirely in the moment. Flynn's love for gambling often brought him into the orbit of some of Hollywood's most notorious figures. He was known to frequent underground poker games where the stakes were as high as the tension in the room. For Flynn, gambling wasn't just a pastime. It was a way to escape the constraints of fame and indulge in the chaos he craved. Beneath the swashbuckling exterior was a man who thrived on risk, a truth that made his life as captivating off-screen as it was on. Marlene Dietrich. The enigmatic star of Shanghai Express and The Blue Angel, Dietrich was as daring in her personal life as she was on screen. Known for her sharp wit and unshakable confidence, she had a deep love for gambling that often took her to the most exclusive casinos in Europe and the United States. She was particularly drawn to baccarat, a game of elegance and high stakes that matched her sophisticated persona. Dietrich wasn't just a casual player. She was a calculated risk-taker who studied the game and played with precision, often leaving the table with significant winnings. What sets her apart from her contemporaries is how she used gambling as a tool for connection and influence. Dietrich was known to host private games in her home, inviting a mix of Hollywood elites, political figures, and even royalty. These gatherings weren't just about the cards, they were a stage for Dietrich to charm and network, solidifying her position as one of the most influential women of her time. One of the most fascinating aspects of her gambling was her ability to maintain control. Unlike many of her peers, she rarely let her love for the game spiral into recklessness. Instead, she approached gambling with the same discipline and poise that defined her career. For Dietrich, the casino wasn't just a place to play. It was a battlefield where she could outwit her opponents and assert her dominance, all while maintaining her air of mystery. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart, the hard-boiled icon of Casablanca and the Maltese Falcon, had a passion for gambling that mirrored the gritty, no-nonsense characters he portrayed. Bogart was a devoted poker player, and his love for the game was so intense that he often hosted marathon sessions at his home, where the stakes were as high as the tension in the room. These games weren't just casual get-togethers. They were legendary among Hollywood insiders, attracting some of the biggest names in the industry. What makes Bogart's gambling habits so intriguing is how they reflected his personality. He was known for his sharp mind and unflinching demeanor, qualities that made him a formidable opponent at the poker table. Bogart wasn't afraid to take risks, and his ability to read people gave him a distinct advantage in the game. However, his love for gambling wasn't without its complications. There are stories of Bogart losing significant sums of money during particularly heated games, though he always managed to maintain his cool, brushing off losses with the same stoic charm that made him a star. Perhaps the most surprising aspect of Bogart's gambling was how it brought out his softer side. He often played poker with his wife, Lauren Bacall, and their games were said to be filled with laughter and camaraderie, a stark contrast to the tough guy image he projected on screen. For Bogart, gambling wasn't just about the money, it was about the thrill of the game and the connections it fostered. Beneath the rugged exterior was a man who found joy and meaning in the unpredictable world of cards. Lana Turner. Lana Turner, the blonde bombshell who captivated audiences in films like The Postman Always Rings Twice, had a love for gambling that was as glamorous and dramatic as her career. Turner was a regular at Las Vegas casinos during the 1940s and 1950s, where she was often seen at the roulette and blackjack tables, dressed to the nines and commanding attention wherever she went. Her presence alone was enough to draw crowds, but it was her bold betting style that truly set her apart. Turner wasn't afraid to take risks, and her high-stakes wagers became the stuff of legend among casino regulars. What makes Turner's gambling story so compelling is how it intertwined with her personal life. She was known to gamble not just for the thrill, but as a way to escape the pressures of fame and the turbulence of her relationships. In one particularly dramatic episode, Turner reportedly lost a small fortune in a single night, only to return the next evening and win it all back, a testament to her resilience and determination. Turner's love for gambling also extended to horse racing, where she was a frequent visitor to tracks like Santa Anita Park. She was known to bet heavily on her favorite horses, often relying on intuition rather than strategy. For Turner, gambling wasn't just a pastime. It was a reflection of her larger-than-life personality and her refusal to play it safe, both on and off the screen. Beneath the glitz and glamour was a woman who lived for the thrill of the game, a side of Turner that added depth to her already fascinating legacy. George Raft. George Raft, the quintessential tough guy of Hollywood's gangster films, had a real-life connection to the world of gambling that blurred the line between fiction and reality. Known for his roles in films like Scarface and Some Like It Hot, Raft wasn't just acting when he portrayed men who lived on the edge. He was living it. His love for gambling was legendary, and he was a regular at high-stakes poker games and exclusive casinos. Raft's gambling habits weren't just a pastime. They were a way of life, deeply tied to his connections with the underworld. What makes Raft's story so fascinating is his close association with organized crime figures who controlled much of the gambling scene during the mid-20th century. He was known to frequent illegal gambling dens in New York and Los Angeles, rubbing shoulders with some of the most powerful and dangerous men of the era. Raft's charm and charisma allowed him to navigate this world with ease, but it also raised questions about how deeply he was involved. In one infamous incident, Raft reportedly intervened to save a casino owner from a violent dispute, using his influence to broker peace, a move that only deepened the rumors about his ties to the mob. Despite the risks, Raft's love for gambling never wavered. He was known to bet heavily on horse racing, often placing wagers that would make even the wealthiest gamblers hesitate. For Raft, gambling wasn't just about the money, it was about the thrill, the danger, and the connections it brought. Beneath the polished image of a Hollywood star was a man who thrived on the high-stakes world of risk and reward, a truth that added an air of mystery to his already enigmatic persona. Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, the boyish star of Babes in Arms and National Velvet, had a gambling habit that stood in stark contrast to his wholesome on-screen image. Rooney's love for betting was no secret in Hollywood, and he was a frequent visitor to Las Vegas, where he spent countless nights at the blackjack and craps tables. His gambling wasn't just a casual indulgence. It was a full-blown passion that often consumed his time and money. What makes Rooney's story so compelling is how his gambling habits reflected the highs and lows of his tumultuous life. Despite being one of the most bankable stars of the 1930s and 1940s, Rooney often found himself in financial trouble, and his love for gambling only added to the strain. There are stories of Rooney losing significant sums of money in a single night, only to return to the tables the next day, determined to win it all back. His relentless optimism and refusal to give up were both his greatest strengths and his greatest weaknesses. Rooney's gambling wasn't limited to casinos. He was also known to bet heavily on horse racing, often attending the tracks with fellow Hollywood stars. For Rooney, gambling was more than just a thrill. It was an escape from the pressures of fame and the challenges of his personal life. Beneath the cheerful, all-American persona was a man who lived for the rush of the game, a side of Rooney that added complexity to his already fascinating legacy. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead, the unapologetically bold star of stage and screen, had a love for gambling that was as extravagant and unpredictable as her personality. Known for her sharp wit and larger-than-life presence, Bankhead was a regular at casinos and private poker games where her flamboyant style and fearless attitude made her a standout. She wasn't just there for the spectacle. Bankhead was a skilled player who knew how to hold her own against even the most seasoned gamblers. What sets Bankhead apart is how her gambling habits became an extension of her rebellious spirit. She was known to bet recklessly, often wagering sums that would make others balk, and she did it all with a devil-may-care attitude that left an impression on everyone around her. In one particularly infamous story, Bankhead reportedly lost a significant amount of money during a poker game, only to laugh it off and declare that the experience was worth every penny. Bankhead's love for gambling wasn't just about the money, it was about the freedom it represented. In a world that often tried to confine her, gambling was one of the few places where she could fully embrace her wild, untamed nature. For Bankhead, the casino floor wasn't just a place to play, it was a stage where she could perform, defy expectations, and live life on her own terms. Beneath the glamour and bravado was a woman who thrived on risk, a truth that made her one of the most unforgettable figures of her time. Dean Martin. Dean Martin, the king of cool, was as smooth at the gambling table as he was on stage crooning love songs. Known for his effortless charm and laid-back demeanor, Martin had a deep love for gambling that was as much a part of his persona as his whiskey glass and tuxedo. He was a regular in Las Vegas, where he performed as part of the Rat Pack. But the casino floor wasn't just a backdrop for his shows, it was his playground. Martin was particularly fond of blackjack and poker, often playing for hours after his performances, surrounded by friends, fans, and high rollers. What makes Martin's gambling habits so intriguing is how they reflected his dual nature. While his public image was that of a carefree entertainer, his approach to gambling was surprisingly disciplined. Unlike many of his peers, Martin was known to set strict limits for himself, walking away from the table when he hit his cap, whether he was winning or losing. This self-control set him apart in a world where excess was the norm. One of the lesser-known aspects of Martin's gambling life was his love for sports betting. He was an avid fan of horse racing and often placed significant wagers on his favorite horses. Martin's passion for the sport went beyond betting. He owned several racehorses himself, a testament to his deep connection to the game. For Martin, gambling wasn't just about the money or the thrill. It was a way to unwind, connect with others, and indulge in the unpredictable excitement that mirrored his own life. Beneath the cool exterior was a man who thrived on calculated risks, a side of Martin that added depth to his legendary persona. Betty Grable. Betty Grable, the pin-up queen of the 1940s, was known for her dazzling smile, iconic legs, and a love for gambling that few knew about. Grable's passion for betting was most evident at the horse racing tracks, where she was a frequent visitor and an enthusiastic participant. She wasn't just there for the spectacle. Grable was a serious bettor who studied the horses, the jockeys, and the odds, often placing substantial wagers on her favorites. Her love for the sport was so intense that she even owned racehorses, a rare move for a woman in Hollywood at the time. What makes Grable's story so fascinating is how her gambling habits intertwined with her personal life. She often attended the races with her husband, bandleader Harry James, and the two were known for their high-stakes bets and glamorous presence at the track. Their shared love for horse racing became a cornerstone of their relationship, a rare glimpse into the private life of one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. Grable's gambling wasn't limited to the racetrack. She was also known to enjoy poker games with friends, where her competitive spirit and quick wit made her a formidable opponent. For Grable, gambling wasn't just a pastime. It was a reflection of her bold, adventurous nature. Beneath the polished image of America's sweetheart was a woman who loved the thrill of the game, a side of Grable that added complexity to her enduring legacy. Jack Benny. Jack Benny, the comedic genius who made audiences laugh with his impeccable timing and deadpan delivery, had a surprising passion for gambling that contrasted with his famously frugal on-screen persona. Known for his jokes about being tight with money, Benny was actually a regular at poker games, where he wasn't afraid to bet big and take risks. His love for the game was well known among his friends, many of whom were fellow Hollywood stars who joined him for late-night sessions filled with laughter, banter, and high stakes. What makes Benny's gambling habits so intriguing is how they revealed a different side of his personality. While his public image was that of a penny-pinching miser, his approach to poker was anything but stingy. Benny was known to play generously, often raising the stakes and keeping the game lively. His quick wit and sharp mind made him a formidable player, and his ability to read people gave him an edge at the table. Benny's love for gambling wasn't just about the money, it was about the camaraderie and the joy of the game. He often used poker nights as a way to connect with friends and unwind from the pressures of his career. For Benny, the poker table was a stage of its own where he could perform, strategize, and indulge in the unpredictable excitement of the game. Beneath the jokes and the carefully crafted persona was a man who loved the thrill of risk, a truth that added depth to the legend of Jack Benny. Dorothy Lamour. Dorothy Lamour, the sultry star of the road to films, was known for her exotic beauty and effortless charm, but few knew about her love for gambling. Lamour had a particular fondness for horse racing, a passion that often took her to the tracks at Santa Anita and Del Mar. She wasn't just a casual observer. Lamour was a serious bettor who studied the horses and placed calculated wagers. Her love for the sport wasn't just about the thrill of winning. It was about the elegance and excitement of the races, a world that mirrored the glamour of her Hollywood career. What makes Lamour's gambling habits so intriguing is how they reflected her personality. While she was known for her poised and polished image, her time at the racetrack revealed a more daring and adventurous side. She was often seen mingling with other Hollywood stars, sharing tips and strategies, and placing bets that could rival those of the most seasoned gamblers. Lamour's connection to horse racing went beyond betting. She was also known to invest in racehorses, a move that showcased her deep appreciation for the sport. Perhaps the most surprising aspect of Lamour's gambling life was how it provided her with a sense of escape. In a world that demanded perfection and poise, the racetrack offered her a chance to let loose and indulge in the unpredictable excitement of the game. For Lamour, gambling wasn't just a pastime, it was a reflection of her bold, adventurous spirit, a side of her that added depth to her already fascinating legacy. Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire, the man who seemed to defy gravity on the dance floor, had a passion for gambling that was as precise and calculated as his choreography. While his public image was one of elegance and discipline, his private life revealed a man who found thrill in the unpredictable world of horse racing and poker. Astaire wasn't just a casual gambler. He was meticulous, studying the horses, their trainers, and the odds with the same intensity he brought to perfecting a dance routine. For him, gambling wasn't about recklessness, it was about strategy, control, and the rush of calculated risk. What many don't realize is that Astaire's love for horse racing wasn't just a hobby, it was a lifestyle. He was a regular at the tracks, often seen mingling with other Hollywood elites, sharing tips and placing bets that could rival the most seasoned gamblers. His passion for the sport went beyond betting. He even owned racehorses, a testament to his deep connection to the game. This wasn't just a pastime for Astaire. It was a world where he could indulge in the excitement of competition without the constraints of his carefully curated public persona. Perhaps the most surprising aspect of Astaire's gambling life was his involvement in private poker games. Known for his sharp mind and ability to read people, he was a formidable player who often left the table with more than he brought. For Astaire, gambling wasn't just about the money, it was about the thrill of the game, the camaraderie, and the chance to step away from the perfection of his on-screen image. Beneath the polished exterior of Hollywood's most graceful star was a man who embraced the unpredictable, a truth that added another layer to his already fascinating legacy. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our new videos each week. Thanks for watching.